In today's episode of our GenAI University Mastery Series, we're going to be doing an interview and a live demonstration with the one and only Sabrina Romanoff, who is one of the leaders in AI education, helping millions of people to learn how to use AI and creating scalable content systems with her tools and her teachings. And she's going to be joining us today to share how you can use Gamma with Blotato and Make.com to create scalable content automation systems to grow your business and brand. Sabrina, thank you for tuning in and putting this demonstration together. Super excited to have you back here on the GenAI University channel.
Yeah, super excited to be here. And this was really fun to build out. So really excited to share it with you guys. Okay, so today I'll walk you guys through creating a make.com workflow automation that uses Gamma's new templating feature, where you can create a template that's branded according to your style guidelines in your company, which is pretty neat. And then you can basically just fill in a prompt, really just a simple prompt or a long prompt, whatever your preference is. And it will take that prompt and then customize your templates. And then what we're going to do is grab it directly from Gamma and post it to, I think I have 8 social media platforms here. So this was really fun to build. You guys are already familiar with Gamma. So I'll just talk real quickly about the features in Gamma I'll be using for this tutorial. So real quick, this was kind of confusing to me. When you generate Gammas through the API, they're in this section, API generated, not the other section. And we're going to be using templates over here. If you don't already have a template, it's super easy to create one. Just click add a gamma. And basically you can choose one of your existing gammas and make it into a reusable template that you can then call through the API. So to use one of these templates, you can click use template or open an editor. There's a button on the upper right-hand corner for the API ID. So what you're going to want to do is copy this into the automation here. So create carousel. Okay, so this is where your template's gamma ID goes. And then the next step is just waiting for the carousel to generate. Once it's done, then we get it. We check if the status is completed, and then we convert the PDF to PNG files. So I'm just going to run this whole thing. How it's triggered is this simple Google form, okay, where you put in the prompts and then you have a caption. So here's the Google sheet that it's linked to. So prompt and caption. And for testing and make, usually I like to just choose where to start, or if you are working on the same automation, you're just debugging it. One of my favorite things is to run with existing data. So after you run it for the first time, like let's say you fill out this form, it populates your Google Sheet. Okay, so you have some data. I don't want to have to fill out the Google Sheet every single time. So I just run with existing data and choose a previous data set. So this will run the entire flow with the data from the first Google form entry. So now if I click run once, so now it's creating the carousel. So it's gonna wait 90 seconds now while it's being generated, but you can see here the prompt came from the Google Sheet, ChatGPT prompt engineering tips for beginners. This was the template's gamma ID. So again, to grab that, you open your template, click API in the upper right corner, and go ahead and copy that. And then this is the generation ID. So we're going to use this ID to fetch the status of the carousel. So here, this waits 90 seconds just to give it enough time. Usually it's done in 30 seconds, but just to be safe, I say 90 seconds. And then you will be able to see it. So if we go back to Gamma, click home here, and then click API generated. So here, created 40 seconds ago. So this is the one that we just made, and it's probably still being generated or might be mostly done. Okay, this one actually looks done. So this was done pretty quickly. But you can see here, it took the template and then it just changed the content inside it. So our prompt was ChatGPT prompt engineering tips for beginners. So now we have a nice looking carousel or slideshow containing that content, and it's ready for social media. If you've spent some time customizing your template according to your brand guidelines, then it should look according to this. And what Gamma does is it just takes your, it's actually a pretty simple node. It just takes your prompt and then populates your templates with that content. So yeah, this is just gonna run. I think it's waiting another 45 seconds. I just set the limit high because sometimes APIs get delayed, and if it's too low, then your entire flow breaks because it's not N8N where you can check the status and then loop back and loop back. But yeah, now it's done. So now we get the carousel, right? So you can see here everything's green. You can see the output here. Oh, here, get carousel. So this was the ID. When it's done correctly, it will say status completed like this. It will show you how many credits you used. This is the Gamma URL, meaning if you want to see it within the Gamma app, okay, you can copy paste this. So here's the carousel. This is the export URL. So what this means is we're exporting it as a PDF. So you can see it here. And then the next step in this workflow, we're going to take that PDF and convert it to a PNG. So for this, we're going to use a tool called Cloud Convert. I don't know if your community is already familiar with this tool, but it's kind of nice. It has a lot of utility conversion things if you need to go from MOV to MP4 or PDF to PNG. So it's pretty easy to sign up. So you just kind of like sign up here. They also have a credit model, so you don't have to do a monthly subscription. You can just like buy one set of credits and like use that until it runs out, which is nice for testing. To set this up is pretty easy. Just click create new API key, name it here. You will want to give it, I think, all of these scopes. Okay, then click create, and then within make, well, this will already be set up, but you can open this and then just connect to your Cloud Convert account. So it's just going to ask you for API key or OAuth, click API key, and then paste your API key down here. Okay. Okay, and then so after that's converted from a PDF to a PNG, the next step is publishing it to social media, which is what we're using my app Blotato for. I originally built it for myself just to help scale my own content creation as an influencer. And so you can see it worked here. If you open, again, one of these outputs, right, you have the post submission ID, everything looks good. Instead of posting everything right now, I actually scheduled it for the future. So you can schedule it in advance, or you can set up a calendar with slots and you could just drop it into the next open slot. For this use case, I just set everything in January. So when you go over to Blotato and refresh upcoming posts, we will see all of the posts with a carousel. So now this basically scheduled it out to 8 platforms in whatever time it took to run this automation, like 1 minute, right? So here, January 1st, and you can see that here. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of how the high level workflow works. I'll just go into the specifics now of like of each of these make modules. So let's just start with Google Sheets. So I kind of assume people can set up a Google Sheets, but just for reference, again, my form is really simple: prompt and then the caption for the video. So the prompt is what Gamma will take, and it's going to analyze the prompt and then customize the content in the carousel or slideshow. This caption will be taken exactly as is and published to social media as your video description. So if we go to Blotato, for example, so this was the description: steal these ChatGPT prompt tips for free with these hashtags. Okay, so that was the caption. And then the prompt was ChatGPT prompt engineering tips for beginners. So the prompt is fed to Gamma, and then the caption is like directly published as your video's caption or your carousel's caption on social media. And then other things here, I just limit it to one. So just so it's like posting. So when a form submission comes in, then you're just doing one at a time. So just make sure you, select the correct spreadsheet, select the correct sheet, and things like that. So here, when we open up Create Carousel, all we're doing is passing in that prompt from the Google form, right? So we're taking this prompt, we're going to send it to Gamma. Again, this is the Gamma ID, which you can grab in the templates over here. Open editor, API, grab this template, copy it over here. You don't have to fill in these other values, right? So if there's this particular theme you also want to apply on top of your template, you can. But in general, if you're making a custom super branded template, you're going to want to just use that template and leave the theme blank, because I think the theme overrides some elements in your template. So that's why, like, when you open this up, pretty much everything is blank except prompt, the template you want to use, and then how you want to export it. So here, if you leave it as empty, the flow isn't going to work because you will just get a link to the Gamma site, but not like a downloadable PDF that we can actually post to social media. So when you download this template, it will have export as PDF. Okay. And then this is just waiting until it's done. Again, I set it to 90 seconds just to be safe, but it's usually done within 30 seconds. Here we get the carousel. This is just the generation ID. So, like the ID of the slide deck or carousel that's being generated. And then this part is converting the export URL. So, this is the PDF that Gamma generated. And then we are outputting it as a PNG. And then the file name is just slides.png. Okay. So, the most important thing here is set the output format to PNG. And once we have that, we don't have to upload media to Blotato or anything. I actually just removed that step. You may already have that in your old flows, which is fine, but you actually can just pass in the URLs now. So here in Blotato, should I go talk about like setting up your API key and stuff in Blotato, or would they already know how to do that?
I think that would be helpful.
Okay. So yeah, let me back up here. So if I go to the website, so Blotato is an app like I built just for myself as a creator. It has a web app component, so you can make content within the app, but it also has a really powerful API to help with things like publishing. So when you log in for the first time, go to settings on the bottom left corner. This is where you can connect your social accounts. And on this lowest plan, as of right now, you can connect up to 20 social accounts, and they can be of any platform. So there are a lot of social media scheduling tools where you can connect like X number of accounts, but only one per platform for your brand. Like, so you sign up, you get one brand. So you can connect one Facebook, one LinkedIn, one Twitter. One key difference here is it doesn't matter which 20 accounts you can connect. So you could connect 20 Facebook accounts, 20 Instagram accounts in total, or you can mix and match like 10 LinkedIn, 10 Instagram, or one of each, that kind of thing. So once you connect your accounts, go to API. This is where you'll generate an API key. So if you're brand new to this, there will be a big button to generate an API key. So you're going to click that, and then you're going to copy the API key. And then what you're going to do is basically create a connection in Make. So open up one of these Blotato nodes, click Add. This will be blank for you. So you're going to create a Blotato connection and then paste your API key here. And then the only thing really you have to do next is just select which accounts you want to publish to. So let's say you've connected 5 Facebook accounts. They will actually populate in this drop-down menu. So just make sure you select the correct Facebook account you want to post to. And then Facebook, of course, has pages. So each Facebook account can have a different set of pages. So just make sure you select the correct account and the select page. Okay, and then just go down this list. So similarly for Instagram, just select the Instagram accounts after you connect Blotato. Similarly for TikTok, select the correct TikTok account that you want to publish to. And that's pretty much all you have to do on this Blotato side. So again, all we're doing is generate that API key, create the connection here, right, to connect it, and then choose the social media account you want to publish to. You don't have to change anything else here. There are lots of options, of course. So if you are more advanced for content creation, you may be interested in these other options. For example, is AI generated? So if you're using a lot of human looking if you're having Gamma create like human looking images and stuff like that, you may want to label this as AI generated. TikTok appreciates it. You can add a slideshow title to your slideshow. For TikTok, you can automatically add music to a slideshow. So for this case, you might want to say yes. It'll basically TikTok will analyze your slideshow and automatically add trending music. Which is nice. And then there's a bunch of other options here as well as the scheduling options. So for this example, I scheduled it just in January for testing purposes. When you run this, you either want to post it like right now, in which case you'd remove scheduled time, or you can schedule it on your next free slot. So in Blotato, you can basically set up like a whole calendar here in weekly schedule of like when you want posts to go out. And then you just can add posts to the next free slot for that platform. So if I'm posting on Twitter at 8, 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., those are my 3 slots for the day on Sunday. And if I choose next free slot, it's just going to find like the next open slot that doesn't have a post scheduled yet. So that's nice. A lot of people honestly like this as well because it's kind of like a queue. You just keep adding content to the empty spots in your queue and you don't have to worry about the exact time. So yeah, so for this, but yeah, for testing purposes, I like to do a scheduled time, like way in the future, in case I mess something up. And then you can obviously go back to upcoming posts and delete them if you're just testing things out. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, any questions so far?
Only question so far is just about any similarities to like Buffer or like
Oh yeah.
any differences that you find how Blotato fits into here.
Yeah, so yeah, Blotato is definitely similar to Buffer in the sense of it allows you to schedule to social media. What you'll find though is if you actually like try the Buffer node, actually I think I can just add the Buffer node so we can compare side by side. Create a status update, right? So it only has I'll just add it somewhere. I don't think I have a Buffer account, but it's just generally a lot more limited in terms of the parameters for each platform. So, like how Buffer works is you have your text, you can attach media, of course, as well, but you're not going to get like platform specific parameters like this. So, this is actually a really good example for TikTok slideshows. You can automatically add music to TikTok slideshows. So, I have a parameter to enable that for Blotato, but you can see here for Buffer, it doesn't really. So you put in the text that you want, you put in the link. I'm also not sure that Buffer supports publishing slideshows and carousels via API. So that's another thing you'd have to check. But it's kind of like a generic form to add your post to the top of the queue. But with Blotato, you get a lot more customizability for each platform. So another I think I don't have YouTube here because we're posting a carousel, but even for Instagram, if you open, advanced settings, there's more choices there. For threads as well, you can post like long form threads for Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky, which you can't do through the Buffer API. So what I mean, if you're not familiar with Twitter, it's like one main tweet, and then there's like a thread of replies underneath the main tweet. So you can do that with Buffer as well. It's just called it's just called here thread posts. So it's like this. Okay. But yeah, so that would be one of the main differences. Another main difference, even though I'm not showing it here, you can actually create content in Blotato. So you can actually use Blotato to create carousels, similar to Gamma, and also create videos. I didn't want to get into that too much in this particular tutorial, but that's another really big difference in Buffer. So here, create video, you can choose a template. Let's say like create, let's say just a simple quote card carousel. This will populate with default values. Okay. And then if I run this module only, it's going to create a carousel like this, like instantly. And then you can publish it to social media. So yeah, there's some overlap with Gamma, as you can tell. I think Gamma is really great for kind of that information kind of presentation, and also the branded templates are really nice. Whereas right now, a lot of Blotato templates, which you can see here, are geared towards viral social media formats. So like this format, for example, is like incredibly popular on Twitter, on LinkedIn, Instagram, and even Facebook. This one would be another format that's pretty popular. It's kind of like known as an educational type of carousel. So here, I'll just run that and you'll be able to see that here. But yeah, I didn't want to get too much into this since it's mostly for a Gamma tutorial. So oh, that one didn't run, but I probably need a different one. But yeah, so I would say that's some of the main differences from Buffer.
Yeah, and to walk it back to the beginning of this for those that like have seen the whole process kind of start to finish, and then okay, like, well, how can this maybe work for my business and what the
Hmm.
content that I want to go ahead and create? And we demonstrated in one of the previous videos in this Gamma series a similar setup to the form to the Google Sheet, just to kind of simplify how you send the content in that's going to prompt Gamma to then create that context, and that's what you're showing right here, Sabrina. But the prompt that you gave was like a very simple one-line prompt with a caption.
Hmm.
But I would challenge everyone that's going through this process in their own Gamma templates. We have a lot of specialized nuance use cases that you may want to automate, and it might require a more structured prompt and something that is a little bit more like sequenced or like has multiple series of the prompts that really at the end of the day, it's um, something to experiment with, and then running through this process to find something in terms of the output that's going to match your brand when you're posting it on social media. And you made a good call out, Sabrina, with like where Blotato also has some overlap here, but I think it's important because you're curating the prompts and the style and the
Hmm.
templates and all of the assets around things that are designed to like actually go viral based on like
Yeah.
what you've seen and what you've created here. And maybe that's something that anyone watching this, you might have a format that works really great for you and that does really well with your audience and on your socials. And so you could spend the time to tweak and customize that here, but I'd love to see a little bit more about maybe some of the Blotato platform too, or some of the other customizations, Sabrina, um, that you find are really helpful for even this automation, Gamma aside or not, um, that you find are helpful for people that are building their own brands. You're a solo founder. You're building this without a huge team, which a lot of our audience is also running either solo operations or with
Hmm.
small teams. And so there's a lot of leverage to building out these frameworks and using a platform like Blotato
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, and I also wanted to echo your earlier point, that like in real world use cases, like your processing will most likely be more complicated than this. In my tutorials, I like to just show kind of the base templates, and I assume people will build on top. Just because like I do think it's important to get the flow working, and like at the with the most basic example, and then we can add a lot more complexity. For example, like in a lot of my templates, people will add an extra OpenAI ChatGPT call to take the output of a form submission and then create like a very detailed structured prompt. So like maybe you do put just one line here, but then you have a call to ChatGPT right after that takes that one line prompt and it takes a ton of context about your business that you've already loaded in, and then it converts it into like a very detailed structured outline for the gamma step. So that might be one way to tweak this so that it's like highly customized to your brand without like kind of like obfuscating the rest of the template. So it would just be an extra chat GPT step right here between the Google Sheets and the carousel. Um, but yeah, so just in general, like when I think about automations and social media contents, I don't start with it. I'll say that much. I would much rather start with like creating all different kinds of carousels in Gamma or whatever tool you choose, and then seeing which ones actually do well, right? So, like, let's create 10 different, very different types of templates, post them all, see which one does way better than all the other ones. And then I would make a template out of that. I think people usually do the reverse order, which is why they don't get results, meaning they will make a template first, they like it, but they don't know how it performs. But they go ahead and take that template and automate it. And so the missing critical step there is like you have no idea how well that template will perform. So why would you automate and scale it up? I think about automation as just a way to scale what you're doing. If what you're doing is not working, adding automation on top doesn't help. So it's for me, it's a lot of like experimentation. It's a lot of chaotic like A/B test. Oh, let me try this. Let me try that. So in the context of Gamma, I would say like make a lot of different types of templates. Challenge yourself, like suspend disbelief. Maybe you like this is for me like a bit too much going on in one slide. Like maybe I just want one piece of information in one slide, right? Like challenge yourself with different types and then launch them to your audience and see which format actually performs the best and then double down on that. And it could take several weeks to find a winner, but like just keep experimenting. You don't I see a lot of people like they'll set up an automation, spend 5 minutes making a template and they're like, okay, we're good to go. I don't have to do anything now. um, and like it's true, you will post the content, but like the content probably won't do well unless you're there like actually caring about each template, trying new templates until you find a format that's repeatable.
That's great insight. Is there anything else that you see people that are getting started with automation that tend to maybe like put the cart before the horse, or anything that you would recommend people avoiding just to save themselves some pain or some unnecessary time in building stuff
Yeah.
out?
Yeah, for sure. So I do see a lot of people like completely brand new to content creation and they'll post on all 8 platforms at the same time. I provide it in my template just to show like how to do it, but I honestly recommend just starting with 1 or 2 platforms, right? And if you're new to make, you can just disable the routes or unlink it, right? So just disable it. Just do like 1 or 2 for testing and again to test all of those different formats, ideally the platform where you already have an audience, right? Because if you're just like posting on LinkedIn but you have no audience there, you're not gaining any useful data either about what formats are working. But let's say you do have a Facebook page with like a couple thousand people, that's great. So like start posting content there, experimenting with different formats. You don't need to cross post content that isn't working to 6 other platforms. You know what I mean? So like for me, correct order of operations is like experiment a lot, find what works, automate it to 1 or 2 platforms. Okay, that's good. That's working. The automation is doing well and the content is doing well. And then scale it up, basically cross posting it to many other platforms.
And you shared some interesting approaches to how you will find content that is maybe going viral or is doing well in other niches and then applying them to your own. Do you have like a process for like ideation that maybe involves some AI tools or maybe just involves some manual research that helps you with coming up with ideas that you take and then go into the experimentation phase?
Yeah, so for me, it's definitely 2 components. One is I have like an AI system that's basically researching like different trending topics, viral topics, industry news related to AI, free AI resources, free AI courses. So that runs once a week. So by the time I sit down to create content on a Saturday, I already have like a pre-vetted list of 20 to 30 ideas that I could talk about for my short form videos. That's one aspect that is systematized. And that's been really awesome, especially for finding like free tools or free resources that I just like wouldn't have gone out of my way to search for some of this stuff. And so that's really awesome because how I'm using AI there is it's just scanning thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces of information every single week. There's so much happening in the AI industry. I don't have time to kind of sift through all that noise myself. And so there I'm leveraging AI to kind of find the signal in the noise and especially the signal that would resonate with my audience. So I keep going back to like free AI courses, free AI tools, deals, and things like that, because that does resonate with my audience. So it'll like look at all the content and news in the past week and then surface those nuggets that it thinks do really well. The other piece of it is also still manual. Like I still use social media and like I see the feed and I pay attention to what stops my scroll. And it doesn't have to be related to AI at all. So for example, in TikTok, I'll get content about, psychology and philosophy and mindset and relationships. And like some of those hooks I can repurpose for AI or like the format that they're doing or the way that they're expressing that information. And so definitely one part of it is systematized to help me like scale consuming all this information coming out. But the other part of it is just like being a consumer and like listening to what other people are posting and what kinds of things are doing well right now, today, like given the timing. So
Do you have anything or any signals that you'll tend to follow in your own hook development, as hooks are so important for
yeah.
getting people into the content. But is there anything that you kind of like follow as like a principle for like this tends to be a good hook without being too structured, but like
Oh
anything from
yeah.
just your perspective?
So I actually have like a whole list of hook frameworks as well as a hooks GPT, and like people have gone viral with just using my free hooks chat GPT. So if you go to help.blotato.com and then click hooks here, these are like the most common like prove absolutely time tested proven hooks here. Another resource, if you go to the link right below it, this is my full social playbook, which I do recommend reading. Like a lot of people find it interesting, but the most relevant section here is high performing content types. So basically, I break down for each platform what are the types of hooks and formats that have worked well for me in particular. And you could break it down if there's another influencer in your industry. I would recommend like checking for each platform what types of formats are doing well. So like a TikTok, ChatGPT prompts, listicles, anything with the word word money and AI, is always a really compelling hook. Negative hooks like you're doing something wrong or stop doing this, those are also really, really compelling. And then, yeah, I have a free GPT. I think it's called Viral Hooks for Short Form Videos. It's on the GPT store and stuff, and it's totally free. And then that is trained on thousands of hooks that I've scraped from TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, and so if you aren't already following Sabrina online, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, I mean, I know you're on all the social media channels. You put out so much content related to AI, getting started for free. You're on a mission helping, 10 million people right now learn AI for free, how to actually use it in their business. And you're a wealth of knowledge and resources. And as Yolanda points out here in the comments, your Substack is filled with gold and gems. And that playbook that you put together, and maybe it was like a month or two that you came out with
Yeah.
it. It was such a valuable read for just understanding your process and experimenting and actually doing this stuff to grow a real audience over the past few years, where there's so much regurgitation in this space of people seeing something, just literally repeating the same thing, and there's a lot
Mhm.
of noise out there. So it's refreshing to see someone like you who is building these tools for yourself. Now other people can license and use the
Yeah.
tools that you've created with Blotato. And then taking this approach that you've made, and I'm thinking about all the people in our community that are running like service-based businesses, like local businesses that are
Mm,
owning like a specific area or market. You can apply the same process to
yeah.
growing well outside of just the AI niche, just by taking the approach, the experimentation, the social listening, actually like catching on to like what's actually working and being an active participant in terms of what's going
Mhm.
on online, but then, reframing it, creating it as your own, and then, providing value to your audience. I think you put so many great resources out there. And so I just highly encourage everyone to follow you anywhere that you guys are on social media, so you get Sabrina's content as she's posting it.
Yeah, and you just mentioned like local service businesses. So like one automation, for example, that's popular, that you could also do with Gamma is like taking a testimonial from Google reviews, right? And turning it into a nice Gamma templated carousel and then sharing it on social media. Like that is something that can be 100% automated. You don't need a ton of like human intervention to QA the carousel, because it's based on a real customer review or a customer case study or testimonial, and then you push it out to all of your socials and stuff. And so there's all kinds of interesting ways to also repurpose your existing content and things you may not think of as content. You may not think of like your reviews as sources of content, but if you're a local business with 100 Google reviews, each one of those reviews could be 10 pieces of content that you can slice and dice in different ways. And so there are so many interesting things to do with content, but I do think the biggest mistake I see people trying to use AI and automation is distancing themselves from the process. The attitude of like, oh, I'm just gonna like set up AI automation and like I don't have to care about what it produces or the quality or how it performs. Like that's where usually the results are not very good. So you may get an automation up and running, but then in 2 months you abandon it because there's no results. So the right way to get results is to like really dig into the process. Like I said in the beginning, like experiment with a lot of different gamma template formats, like make 10, make 20. If it was me, I would make like 3 new formats a day and see which ones do really well on social media, and then try to understand why they're doing well. Like read the comments, like, hey, why, like I'm just curious, why did you guys like stop to comment on this post, or like what stood out to you, right? And then double down on that template. So like be very involved in the process rather than distancing yourself from it and saying, oh, AI and automation, like now I don't have to think about it ever again.
Yeah, especially with how fast things are changing. And I just saw a comment here with the viral hooks GPT. I'm not sure if I shared the right link, Sabrina,
Oh, okay.
if it's
Let
in
me
that,
try
but if
to
you have
dig it
that,
up.
we'll link that below this video. But that's such a great example of a real use case beyond the AI ecosystem of like
Yeah.
real in-person businesses, local service providers. Reviews are so big, with
Mhm.
getting more businesses, or more people to just find you in general. And
It's just getting more mileage out of what you're currently doing. Like every
Yeah,
local small business invests in getting reviews, so why not, amplify that? Like your team is working so hard to deliver amazing service, and now it's just about kind of like sharing that message, making sure your community is aware of the amazing work you're doing too.
and the repurposing is such a big piece of what I know that you do and put into practice with your own content. But so many
Yeah.
businesses are, I've heard the term like getting more bites out of the apple. And a lot of people are like, okay, I made content, I took one bite out of it, and now my content's there and it's not doing anything else for me. But
Mhm.
by strategically repurposing, you could take that same piece of content and create 5, 10, 15, 20 different pieces of content that can then
Mhm.
reach a much larger audience, just by
Yeah.
being strategic and figuring out how to leverage that a little bit more. Do you have any tips or any best practices that you've seen other people following in terms of content repurposing using Blotato or not, that
Yeah, I
can
was just
help?
gonna say after putting together this workflow, I think like Gamma presentations would do really well with converting long form YouTube videos into written format. So, for example, let's say you do publish one YouTube long form a week, you can convert it into basically an ebook kind of carousel presentation with Gamma automatically. Post it on your socials as a lead magnet, right? Like, hey, we break down this topic for free in detail on this YouTube, comment whatever to get it. And so that's generating leads. And all you had to do is focus on creating that long form YouTube video. You can have an automation like this, grab it, transcribe it, parse it into like, let's say part one, part two, part three carousels, post them on social media with a DM automation like, hey, comment this if you want to get this lead magnet. And of course, they usually give you your email, and so you can email them to follow up if they're qualified or not. But yeah, like that is something. Just looking at the types of carousels and decks that Gamma was able to produce, like I think that would do really really well if you are creating long form content somewhere already. So it doesn't have to be YouTube. Like let's say you have an email newsletter that you send out weekly to
Mhm.
clients, you could repackage that into visual carousels, right? Like, but think bite-sized pieces of information. So you're not sharing everything because somebody's scrolling through Instagram. They don't want to read, 30 minutes worth of content, but they want like bite-sized pieces. If that's interesting, they'll raise their hand. You DM them with more information about your business or service.
Yeah, and I see when you're posting on Instagram, for example, you'll have a similar call to action in a lot of your videos. Comment
Yeah.
Sabrina, comment AI, and I'll send you free resources, which it appears to get a good amount of engagement. Is that something that you're also programming into your Blotato automation so that
Uh,
every post is following that format?
So for that, I actually use ManyChat for Instagram, and then I
Okay,
use Phantom Buster for LinkedIn. I don't have plans, honestly, for Blotato to focus on like auto DM and commenting.
okay.
I think there's a lot there that ManyChat does do well. And the other thing on that topic, like the reason I do that is because I want to like own my audience in my own email newsletter. So my email newsletter now is like around 140,000 weekly readers, and like I'm just trying to get everybody off the social platforms where I can't control the algorithm. Like you just can't control how many views you get, what other changes will make to the algorithm. You can't control any of that. And so I find it really really important to drive people to my own property, and that's my email newsletter.
Totally. And another thing I want to highlight here for those that are watching that may be feeling some overwhelm with like, how do we have time to even create all of this content if you're talking about doing
Mm.
these long form videos? And if you go and read your breakdown in your playbook, you talk about how you structure your week,
Oh
because
yeah, this is great.
lifestyle and making sure the business isn't just consuming all of your time every day of the week. I think
Yeah.
you focus in on basically one day a week where you batch all of your content and then you
Hmm.
leverage that content, and I believe it's on
Yeah.
Saturdays. And then
Yeah.
that is basically your content for the entire week that you run from there.
Exactly.
And your calendar from the screenshots I've seen you post is not filled with sales calls. It's not filled with
No.
tons and tons of other
Yeah.
obligations, which I
It's
think
usually
is
Well, we
yeah,
we added the live stream and music Friday
yeah,
nights, but so that one's for fun. But yeah, I think there is misconception around like how much time you have to spend. So this is like I really only make content one day a week. Occasionally I'll hop on podcasts like this just because I want to support, you Darby and your community and everything. But like I really only make content on Saturdays. I personally don't find content, the active content creation fulfilling. Like I would much rather be focused on building my business or building my community, interacting with community members. So for me, it's like, how do I maximize the time I spend building and learning stuff about AI and then minimize the time I spend making content? This is literally why I built Blotato, because I was like, there's no way I'm going to make content every day. Like I don't want to do it. I'd much rather just be focused on my business. And so this is literally what I do on a Saturday. So Saturday morning, I'll film one long form YouTube video. Then I'll use my app to repurpose it into newsletter and social posts. And then I film 20 TikTok videos. So that's my original. And then I have an automation. Whenever I post a TikTok, it automatically cross posts and repurposes it to a bunch of other platforms. And so that's how I have stayed sane, honestly, in this entire process. And I don't have a team either for my business or for content creation. I don't have video editors or anything for any of this. So for those of you who are like, oh, I need to spend a lot of time, I think the key is to figure out what are you doing today in your business and how can you use AI to automatically translate that into a video. So the easiest example I always give people is like meeting notes. If you are on one client call or partner call or internal team meeting per day, at least one, just have an AI meeting note taker join it and set up a similar workflow like this. So maybe instead of a Google Sheet trigger, it's a Google Drive trigger with your AI meeting notes. And then you can feed it to Gamma to create a presentation out of it. Right. And then you post that presentation to social media automatically. The reason that works so well is like people are natural in meetings. Whereas if you tell them, I'm going to film you now for 30 seconds, they freeze up and don't know what to say. And so you get really rich content when you just take the AI meeting notes from a meeting you're having anyway, right? With a client, with a partner, internal team meeting, status meeting, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be a meeting. You could take like your team slacks for the day, right? Strip out any sensitive content, make a carousel out of what you're discussing, and then post it to social media, all automated. Right. So I would encourage people to think about that. What are you currently doing today? And then how can you deploy AI so that it just takes the original thought you're already communicating to your team and your clients and your partners and just convert that into content. Like don't treat content creation as a separate thing from doing your business every day.
That's a great insight and a lot of takeaways here. Question from Joe is just asking about, does someone have to be a programmer to use this? As I know Make can maybe feel a little bit intimidating to some people when it comes to like setting up some of these automations. We stopped sharing your screen, Sabrina, but I think if
Oh,
anyone did, we are obviously recording this. We're going to have it back on our YouTube channel for following this process. And I don't think anyone needs to be a programmer to be able to put any of this
yeah.
into action, especially with how step by step we see it laid out here. And this isn't one of those totally jumbled up 500,000 N8N workflows with way too many moving parts that are, I think, designed to confuse most people. This is a very
Yeah.
practical workflow here that has just a few moving pieces that you
Mhm.
can literally follow along, Google Sheet all the way to routing it to the Blotato
Yeah.
API.
I'm a very big fan of simple workflows because when you think about it, it's like, why would I want a workflow with 400 nodes and a bunch of complexity? Like, by the time it breaks, I don't even know what's going on in the workflow. So, for a long time, my reposting my TikTok video workflow was just like one straight line and it only posted it to Instagram, right? But that's been one of my highest ROI workflows ever because it grew me from zero to now I'm approaching 500,000 followers on Instagram on autopilot. Like I literally don't know how to use Instagram. I don't even have it on my phone. And so definitely like I actually really don't enjoy seeing super complicated templates. It makes me not even want to try it. And so when I design any of these templates, I really try to make it as simple as possible. And for those who may have joined later, one thing I kind of recommend is when you download this default template, it will have all of these social platforms, but I honestly recommend disabling all the ones that you don't need to use initially. Just get everything working with one platform. Like, let's just say it's Facebook. So I've disabled all of these, just get everything working with Facebook. And then once the entire flow is working, you can add more platforms, you can tweak the prompting right? So we talked about that earlier. Like if this is a bit too simple, you may want to add like a OpenAI ChatGPT step to take your prompts and then create like a very detailed structured outline using all the context it knows about you and your business. So if you, I don't know if you have an OpenAI assistant or you have like a PDF describing your entire business and you feed that into ChatGPT, it will just create a much more it's just a much higher quality outline for the carousel for Gamma. But yeah, you definitely don't need to be a programmer. And if you have any questions on setting this up, you can always tag me. Like I'm in the community. You can just literally like tag me if you guys have any questions. I'm generally happy to help.
Yeah, and a question from Saucin is about getting a copy of the template. I believe you do
Oh
have
yeah.
a copy we'll be able to share below in the replay and resources
Yeah, yeah,
of this
definitely.
video
So I'm
too.
actually just working on the any then template at the moment as well. But yeah, so it's really not too bad to set up this one in particular. Gamma did a great job making their API easy, Cloud Convert super easy as well. And then Blotato it just looks like a lot, but these are just different platforms. And again, just start with one and you'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the Blotato ones, it was the same API, but then you would just select the account within each
Exactly.
one of the
Yeah.
nodes. Yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah.
cool. Kevin says, Sabrina, I like the focus on one platform first, especially when you're starting out. I think that's a great tip for anybody here. Like you can always build to this, but let's just start with one platform, one place that your audience is already and getting the content out there, testing it, experimenting, building different
Yeah.
templates. Yeah, super insightful. All right. Any last questions? We got a few minutes left here before we hit the top of the hour. I want to thank you once again, Sabrina, for taking the time to put this together. Super helpful. And let me go ahead and pause your screen.
Oh, okay. Stop
Oh, there we
sharing.
go. Um, but yeah, we'll have the replay up on YouTube and inside of our classroom, inside of JNEI University for you guys to check out, get access to the templates, go back through the workflow, follow along, build it out yourself. Obviously, learning is great, but I think that we actually like learn best by doing and building with this stuff and then testing it out. And that's where we're going to get the real results, the real feedback, and understand what's working and what's not versus just um, hoping that it's going to work without putting in the time to set the stuff up. And the more you set these types of workflows up, you'll be able to set up future workflows as well and get better and better at
Yeah.
these types of automations, and you'll unlock new skills, new abilities. I do want to plug also, Sabrina, if you're cool with it, your community now in school. You're building a great
Oh, yeah.
community with other woman builders in AI. For people that want to connect with you, women that are building out their own businesses specifically, where's the best place that they can connect with you in that
Yes.
community?
So yeah, I have a free private school community. It's called Women Build AI. So if you're building in AI apps, AI automations, AI tools, AI businesses, feel free to join. It's a really awesome community. We have over 20 events per month. Half of those are technical, so vibe coding, automations. The other half are like customer acquisition, marketing, and mindset. But overall, just a really fun place to be. And I'm very active on school, so like I said before, if you guys have any follow-up questions at all, or if you need help setting this up or troubleshooting, just feel free to ping me on school. You can also reach out through the Blotato support button. So within the Blotato app, there's like an orange button on the bottom right corner. And I try to check all of those questions within 24, 48 hours. So really easy to reach me, and please don't hesitate. So I'm happy to help and be a resource.
Well, we appreciate that, Sabrina. A few final comments here before we sign off on today's video from Joe is saying being in the domain name industry, the Joe in the domain name industry, it really likes your approach and philosophy on building your own email channel
Mm.
to be most in charge of your business, right? We don't
Yeah.
own our social media channels. You have the
Mhm.
most ownership in your email list, and so that's obviously why you're driving people back to subscribing to your newsletter on Substack. And you also get you're growing your Substack as well. I know through like referrals and things like that. It's a powerful platform if you use it properly. And we have one other comment here as a B2C solopreneur. This seems to be to finally be a viable way to manage somehow mass posting as a non-content creator person. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I resonate with that. Yeah. I remember I was about 4 months into my content creator journey and I was just feeling overwhelmed. I was like, oh man, now I got to spin up Instagram. Now I got to go on threads. Now I got to go on Twitter. And I was like, there must be a better way to do this, like just a saner way to do this, because there's no way I'm going to do this every single day. Like, even today, I don't really think of myself as a content creator and influencer. I know people label me that way, but I spend most of the time like just building my product, and like only 1 day per week creating content. I don't think I can do more than 1 day a week creating content. And so, yeah, it's definitely a way to stay sane and like be on all the platforms without hiring a big team, which is traditionally what like a creator at my stage would do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sabrina, for the time again. And make sure everybody here goes and follows Sabrina on any of the social platforms that you are on. You're on all the platforms and also inside of the GenAI University community on school, genaiu.com/school to join our community, connect with other builders, other founders, other solopreneurs, and people building and developing products in the space of AI. So, Sabrina, once again, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for tuning in live as well as on our YouTube channel for the replay here. Drop a comment, like, subscribe, and share if you found this helpful. And until next time, keep calm and AI on, everybody. We'll see you on the other side.